The tragedy of rebel infighting. Che Guevara, or Saw Gerrera, is a pivotal rebel in Rogue One. Like a bad case of herpes, he pops up everywhere unexpectedly. He appears in the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels, and most importantly, Andor. Saw is famously not part of the Rebel Alliance and has his own band of rebels that he frequently deploys to resist the Empire. But if Saw Gerrera hates the Empire, why isn't he part of the Rebel Alliance, where they can most effectively strategize to take down the Empire? It's complicated, but let's jump into it. We first see Saw fighting against the Separatists after they invaded his home planet of Onderon. He's part of a resistance band that the Jedi have agreed to train. During this conflict, he insists on being the leader of any group he's a part of.
Saw Gerrera.
He fashions himself as our leader, though no one elected him.
Saw has a massive ego and loads of self-confidence, carrying himself around like a Skywalker would. However, when he shoots down a droid gunship, his sister is in the path, and she dies from this incident. Saw feels responsible for the death, and this hardens his resolve. Saw, much like Che Guevara, would go on to organize and aid insurgencies in different systems, engaging in asymmetrical guerrilla warfare.
Why don't you take a look at the insurgents you were sent to destroy? Makes you wonder what else they're lying about.
When I was a kid, I would read about guerrilla warfare, and I would ask myself, what makes guerrillas so good at fighting? And then I said to myself, I should make a movie about guerrillas fighting each other. Although Saw helped many people in other movements, he struggled to collaborate with his ally-aligned counterparts. In the Bad Batch, Clone Force 99 infiltrates an Imperial facility and secures a tracking device on an officer's ship. This will allow them to follow the officer to a secret facility where other clones are being kept, including their friend being held hostage. They run into Saw Gerrera in the facility, planting bombs for a decapitation strike on some of the high-ranking officers there. The Bad Batch tries to reason with Saw, but he won't listen to them, going through with his own plan and losing several of his fighters in the process. The worst part is that the strike wasn't even successful. Tarkin and Krennic both survived. But the Bad Batch lost their tracking beacon, and thanks to being detected via Saw, Tech sacrifices himself so that the others might survive.
When have we ever followed orders?
This is a recurring pattern for Saw. It's his way or the hyperspace way. Saw also stuns 2 rebel allies in Star Wars Rebels to ensure that they don't stop his objective of tracking kyber crystals to their destination. And would you say that you work well with others?
We take tactical orders from no one.
I don't think you're the best fit for this position.
Lies! Deceptions!
Another giant factor preventing Gerrera from joining the Alliance is his paranoia. In Andor, Luthen tells Gerrera that Krieger, a fellow rebel, is walking into a trap. Gerrera realizes that Luthen has spies and sources everywhere. Luthen tells Saw that it's one of his most trusted men.
Maybe there's someone here with me.
Avoiding the choice.
Who is it? Who is it?
It's Tubes.
¿Qué es ese chico? Putuca.
It's my man. He tells me everything. Tell him. He deserves to know.
What is this?
Chisatira. Noro Kriska.
What kind of game is this?
Gerrera ends up accepting that the 30 rebels sacrificed in the Krieger trap is worth not giving up the inside source at the ISB.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
However, this paranoia continues as the Rebel Alliance is formed. Saw believes that the Alliance is out to stop or sabotage his war efforts. Luthen is the only one that Saw has enough respect to listen to, and even then, it's like convincing a troll not to pay their toll.
You gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
There's no way out alive. Of that you must be sure.
I'm doing this so you listen.
As well, when Willman is helping Saw extract Rhydonium from the Empire, Saw discovers and executes an Imperial spy within his ranks that was transmitting audio to the Empire. The threat of infiltration from both the Empire and Luthen is constant, so Saw always had his guard up.
Which means either you're ISB, or you have someone inside that you are protecting.
Or I'm just a very good listener.
Gerrera doesn't see eye to eye with the Rebel Alliance on politics either. Different bands of rebels have their own opinions on how the galaxy should be run after a successful revolution.
Krieger's a separatist. Maipei's a neo-republican. The Gorman Front, the Partisan Alliance, sectorist, human cultist, galaxy partitionist. They're lost.
Luthen understands that despite these different views, they're all united in taking the Empire down. Nevertheless, Saw doesn't see it that way.
Aren't you tired of playing behind the scenes, Luthen?
Aren't you tired of fighting with people who agree with you?
You come all this way to scold me? Or did you bring me some toys?
Considering Saw's history, it makes sense that he would be doubtful about the Alliance's vision for the future. He fought the Separatists off of Onderon just for the clones to turn on him and occupy the planet under the Empire. The people who claim to be his allies consistently let him down. Given the variety of beliefs within the Alliance's leadership, there's a strong chance that liberty and freedom might not be protected properly in the New Republic. And sadly, he'd be right. The Imperials were not properly hunted down and prosecuted after the war, and 20 years later they emerged with the First Order, destroying the New Republic. Which reminds me, United States government, how is Operation Paperclip going? Was it worth it to bring on those Nazi scientists, or did they pass those vile beliefs onto their children, friends, and family? Yet another component of schism between the factions is their differing strategies. Saw uses disruption, sabotage, slash and burn tactics.
Whatever you don't take, we burn. We will not be back this way again.
In Rogue One, Saw is on Jeddah, targeting Imperial ships that are stealing kyber crystals from the Holy City.
You have no idea where I am.
This disruption of a supply line was slowing the construction of the Death Star before the Alliance even knew it existed. Mon Mothma and the Alliance are frustrated by his actions, as the Empire is coming down harder on all areas.
We know you're picking off Imperial transports. We're trying to share what we hear about how dangerous that is making things for all of us.
Another example is Maya Pei's rebels playing rock, paper, scissors and shooting at each other the moment they lost their leadership. Although Gerrera didn't see this directly, this was the sentiment of a lot of the early formations of the Rebel Alliance. Saw is willing to sacrifice his team during missions, but not under others' leadership. Meanwhile, the Alliance strategy is to hide out and not fight, waiting for just the right battle to strike. During Rogue One, Cassian and Jyn act without authority and attack Scarif. Admiral Raddus joins the fight before the rest of the Alliance catches up. Had the Rebel Alliance used some courage after Jyn's speech, then they could have orchestrated a plan that was much more effective. Because of the lack of orchestration, several pilots died because they didn't get through the shield early enough. The ground evasion was effective but lacked tactical clarity and timing, and there was no communications jamming deployed during the battle to prevent Imperial reinforcements. Once Vader arrived, he cut right through the Rebel lines. On a positive note, these disastrous results allowed for R2 and C-3PO to be jettisoned onto Tatooine and recruiting the Chosen One into the Rebel Alliance. My point is that the Rebel Alliance became disjointed due to their unwillingness to take action when action was necessary. Saw Gerrera never had this problem because he made sure he was always calling his own shots. Gerrera was also fine using torture to extract intel from opposition. Saw did this on Jeddah with the Imperial pilot who defected, Bodhi.
The unfortunate side effect is that one tends to lose one's mind.
Saw is correct in believing that he will be made to comply with the Alliance strategy if he joined the ranks. Near the end of Andor, Cassian is told he's not allowed to leave the base without permission. Cassian shoots back that if he doesn't still have freedom, then he'll just leave. There's also a fundamental difference in mentality between Saw and the Rebel Alliance. The Rebel Alliance is hoping to survive through this rebellion. That's why they're so quick to hide and not eager to fight.
We can't just give in.
Joined an alliance, not a suicide pact.
We've only now managed to gather our forces.
If it's war you want, you'll fight alone.
If that's how it's going, why have an alliance at all?
On the other hand, Saw is willing to accept his death at any given moment.
We'll all be dead before the Republic is back, and yet here we are.
Saw is also a little more extreme in other areas. He takes a Geonosian's egg hostage during Star Wars Rebels. Listen up, boy! I will scramble your bug egg! Saw believes that the Empire is ruthless, and so must be the rebellion, which is very similar to Luthen's mentality.
Whatever our final version of success looks like, there's no chance any of us can make it real on our own. We need the Empire to help. We need them angry. We need them coming down hard. Oppression breeds rebellion.
Gerrera believes that pissing off Imperial gets them to clamp down on resistance, which grows the rebellion in turn. But overall, Saw just doesn't respect the Rebel Alliance at all. He thinks they're a bunch of cowards and liars and phonies. Which honestly, can you blame him for feeling this way? Nothing pisses me off more than the scene in Rogue One where they're all standing around the table yelling at each other.
You're asking us to invade an Imperial installation based on nothing but hope.
Rebellions are built on hope.
There is no hope.
It's a lot like the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where all the pirate lords are like, no, we're gonna die if we fight right now. And it's like, bro, you're gonna die anyways.
This is madness.
This is politics.
Gerrera takes a real issue with following a strict moral code and rules of engagement when fighting in a war.
I hope, Senator, after you've lost and the Empire reigns over the galaxy, unopposed, you will find some comfort in the knowledge that you fought according to the rules.
And at the end of it all, Saw finally does accept his own death on Jedha. This whole issue translates pretty well into real life. Leftists, anarchists, progressives, they all debate each other on the internet instead of uniting to take down the right wing of the country. Chuck Schumer's idea of resistance is playing dead while the Republicans steamroll the few social safety nets we have left in America. This is also a good time to mention the Empire is comprised of the entire government, not just one party. The revolving door of Republicans to Democrats and then back to Republicans again allows the most heinous members of the government and society to operate with no accountability, while voters blame the opposition party for the problems of the country. The reality is that oppression is uniparty in the United States. It doesn't matter whether the planes are planted with a Blue Lives Matter flag or an LGBTQ+ flag. The bombs still drop and find brown children to slaughter across the globe. While I gladly concede that one of the two parties brings less suffering domestically, that party continues to move rightward, aiming to pick up centrist voters that don't exist, accelerating the descent into more pain for all people. It's a nuanced issue that we can have respectful conversation about in the comments. But it's time to wrap up. Ultimately, who's right? Saw Gerrera or the Alliance? In my opinion, the answer is both. If you subscribe to Nimic's thesis, both are fighting for rebellion and for freedom, despite their different approaches.
Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere, and even the smallest act of insurrection pushes our lines forward.
The Alliance had grievances with Luthen too, but if not for Luthen, the Alliance didn't exist.
But it's insulting to hear him run down by people who have given a fraction of his sacrifice to this rebellion.
If not for Saw Gerrera, the rebels never get the Death Star plans. If not for Qui-Gon Jinn, there'd be no Darth Vader.
He is the chosen one.
As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember, the world needs you, and may the Force be with you always. I will do it! I will pull the trigger!
If only you could fight, as well as you lie.